For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On a bustling summer evening in July 1993, 6-year-old twins, Brielle and her sister, strayed from their family's side at Coney Island, Brooklyn, near the iconic Wonder Wheel. They never reappeared. Despite an extensive investigation that spanned state lines and involved dozens of law enforcement agencies and countless volunteers, the two young girls vanished without a trace from the crowded boardwalk. For 24 agonizing years, their family lived with unbearable uncertainty, grappling with a void that time and memory could not fill. Then, in 2017, during the demolition of a dilapidated seaside structure, a crucial discovery was made that would finally reopen the coldest of cases. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Brielle Turner and her twin sister. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. The summer of 1993 brought with it the usual intoxicating chaos of Coney Island, a vibrant tapestry of flashing lights, competing sounds, and the mingled scents of popcorn and sea salt. On a particularly sweltering evening in late July, the boardwalk near the iconic Wonder Wheel pulsed with an almost overwhelming energy. Thousands of visitors, families and tourists alike, moved in a dense, undulating mass, each seeking their own slice of ephemeral joy amidst the carnival's boisterous allure. Among the countless families navigating this vibrant pandemonium were 6-year-old Brielle Turner and her identical twin sister. For the two girls, Coney Island was a wonderland, a place where reality bent to accommodate the fantastical. Their eyes, wide with innocent excitement, absorbed every detail. The dizzying spin of the rides, the barkers' amplified calls, the kaleidoscope of faces passing by. They were a whirlwind of youthful exuberance, holding hands one moment, darting ahead the next, their laughter a bright, fleeting sound in the cacophony. Their aunt, Simone Clark, a figure of calm amidst their boundless energy, kept a watchful eye, her hand often resting on a small shoulder. The critical moments unfolded with disarming speed. As the family moved past a particularly crowded stall, a sudden surge in the throng of people pressed in from all sides. Brielle and her sister, momentarily distracted by a brightly colored balloon vendor, became separated from their aunt. The gap was initially imperceptible, a mere foot or two, but in the relentless crush of bodies, it widened irrevocably. Aunt Simone, turning to check on them, found only the backs of strangers. Her initial call of their names, soft and questioning, quickly escalated into a frantic shout, laced with a growing panic. She pushed against the human tide, her eyes desperately scanning the sea of faces, her heart pounding with a sudden, icy dread. Other family members joined the desperate search, their voices now echoing her alarm, calling out, "Brielle, where are you?" The festive atmosphere of the boardwalk began to curdle, transforming into a backdrop of terrifying indifference. A nearby boardwalk vendor, known simply as Nico, momentarily paused his transaction, his gaze drawn by the woman's escalating distress. Retired transit cop Harold Pack, enjoying a quiet evening stroll, also registered the sudden, sharp cries of a family in crisis. But the sheer volume of people, the relentless flow of the crowd, swallowed their efforts almost instantly. Within minutes, the chilling, undeniable realization settled over Aunt Simone and the family. Brielle Turner and her twin sister had vanished without a trace into the vast, indifferent Coney Island night. The immediate aftermath of the twins' disappearance plunged the Coney Island boardwalk into a sudden, jarring sobriety. Police units, alerted by the family's frantic calls and the growing commotion, converged on the scene with swift efficiency. Within minutes, the festive lights of the amusement park were overshadowed by the flashing strobes of emergency vehicles. A temporary command center was established near the Wonder Wheel, its halogen lamps casting a stark, unwelcome glow over the distraught family. Officers fanned out, establishing search perimeters that stretched along the boardwalk, down onto the beach, and into the labyrinthine alleys behind the main attractions. Witnesses, still reeling from their own evening of entertainment, were quickly questioned, their fragmented recollections offering little immediate clarity. The search efforts were extensive, mobilizing dozens of officers, K-9 units, and local volunteers who had been enjoying the evening. Grid searches meticulously combed the sand, the undersides of the boardwalk, and the dense crowds that still lingered. Every trash receptacle, every shadowed corner, every abandoned stall was scrutinized. Boardwalk vendor Nico, who had witnessed Aunt Simone's initial distress, provided a basic description of the girls and their last known location, though his memory of the exact moment they vanished was blurred by the incessant flow of patrons. Retired transit cop Harold Pack, whose instincts for trouble were finely honed, offered his observations of the crowd dynamics and the family's escalating panic, lending a professional perspective to the early stages of the investigation, though he had not witnessed the separation itself. Despite the rapid deployment of resources and the tireless efforts of search teams, the hours bled into morning without any concrete leads. There were no credible sightings of Brielle or her twin sister beyond the point of their separation. No ransom demands materialized. No suspicious individuals were positively identified by multiple witnesses. The case was a stark, bewildering mystery from its very inception. The sheer volume of people, the chaotic energy of the environment, seemed to have simply absorbed the two young girls, leaving behind no discernible trace. As the sun rose over the Atlantic, painting the sky with the promise of a new day, it brought no illumination to the Turner family's nightmare. Aunt Simone Clark, her voice hoarse from calling out names that remained unanswered, sat wrapped in a blanket, the profound grief and helplessness of the situation settling over her with an unbearable weight. Days turned into weeks, each passing moment deepening the chasm of their unanswered questions. The initial fervor surrounding the disappearance of Brielle Turner and her twin sister could not, by its very nature, be sustained indefinitely. As the days stretched into weeks and the weeks into months, the active search efforts once so pervasive began their inevitable winding down. Leads, scarce from the outset, dwindled to nothing. The tips that had poured into the precinct in the first days became sporadic, then ceased altogether. The command center near the Wonder Wheel was eventually dismantled, and the legions of searchers dispersed. The case, once at the forefront of local news, slowly receded, becoming less a breaking story and more a grim statistic in the annals of unsolved mysteries. Public memory proved as fleeting as the summer season itself. While the tragedy had deeply impacted the Coney Island community and beyond in the immediate aftermath, the relentless churn of daily life and subsequent news cycles gradually pushed the Turner twins' disappearance from collective consciousness. The posters bearing their hopeful faces, once plastered on every lamppost and storefront, faded and peeled, eventually torn down by weather or forgotten hands. For most, the incident transformed into a distant, somber anecdote, a cautionary tale whispered on the boardwalk, but without resolution. 24 years passed, 2 decades and 4 more years of agonizing silence. The vibrant energy of Coney Island continued its seasonal rhythm, but for the Turner family, particularly Aunt Simone Clark, time had ceased to heal. Each passing birthday, each holiday, each summer's return to the boardwalk served as a stark reminder of the void left by the girls' absence. The ambiguous loss, the not knowing, proved to be an enduring torment. There was no grave to visit, no final farewell, only the crushing weight of unanswered questions and the gnawing uncertainty of their fate. Aunt Simone, who had last seen their innocent faces amidst the carnival lights, carried the burden of that night every day, her hope a fragile ember against the winds of time. Retired transit cop Harold Pack, who had observed the frantic early hours of the investigation, understood the profound heartbreak inherent in such cold cases. He had seen countless families trapped in similar purgatories of uncertainty, their lives forever altered by a single, inexplicable moment. He knew that without a crucial piece of evidence, without a fresh perspective or a stroke of pure chance, cases like the Turner twins could remain dormant for generations, their secrets buried deep beneath the surface of time, waiting for an unlikely catalyst to bring them back into the light. The silence surrounding Brielle and her twin sister was not merely an absence of noise. It was a profound, aching void that spoke of a story untold, a truth yet to be unearthed. The Coney Island boardwalk continued its ceaseless cycle of repair and decay, a testament to the relentless forces of time and the sea. 24 years after the Turner twins vanished, the very planks that had borne witness to their last known moments were themselves showing their age. It was during a routine inspection, a necessary task to maintain the structural integrity of the aging entertainment hub, that an unlikely object came to light. A maintenance worker, prying loose a particularly stubborn, splintered deck plank near the base of the Wonder Wheel, dislodged more than just wood and accumulated grime. Beneath the weathered timber, wedged deep within the damp, sandy cavity where the support beams met the earth, lay a small, dark object. It was a key, heavily corroded by decades of exposure to salt air and moisture. Its metal was pitted and encrusted, making its original shape almost indecipherable, yet its distinct form was unmistakable. For years, perhaps even from the night of the disappearance, it had rested there, a silent, forgotten sentinel, hidden from plain sight by the very structure it lay beneath. The worker, accustomed to finding discarded coins and lost trinkets, initially dismissed it as another piece of forgotten junk. However, something about its old-fashioned design, its singular isolation, prompted a second glance. The key was carefully extricated from its sandy bed, its surface gritty and cold. Initial reactions to the discovery were understandably mixed. To some, it was merely an old, discarded item, a relic of countless beachgoers. But to others, particularly those with a longer memory of Coney Island's past, any object unearthed in such a manner carried a whisper of forgotten stories. The key was eventually handed over to local authorities, not necessarily with any expectation, but as a matter of routine for items of unknown origin. It was a junior detective, sifting through the intake, who recognized the potential significance. The location of its discovery, the age suggested by its corrosion, and the sheer improbability of its resting place all hinted at a deeper narrative. A cross-reference of the key's location and potential age against the database of unsolved cold cases quickly flagged one entry: the disappearance of Brielle Turner and her twin sister in 1993. The connection was tenuous, based purely on proximity and timeline, but it was enough to elevate the key from forgotten junk to a potential clue. The corroded metal, once dismissed, now represented a fragile thread connecting the present to a horrifying past. For the Turner family, and for Aunt Simone Clark, who had endured 2 decades of agonizing uncertainty, the news of the discovery arrived as a faint, almost unbelievable glimmer of hope. It was a signal, however small, that the silence surrounding Brielle and her twin sister might finally be broken, and that the long-dormant quest for truth could, against all odds, be rekindled. The corroded key, once a mundane piece of metal discovered beneath splintered planks, became the unexpected catalyst for a long-dormant investigation. Authorities, acknowledging the potential link to the Turner twins' disappearance, formally reopened the cold case, assigning a dedicated team to re-examine every detail through the lens of this singular, unexpected find. 24 years of silence were suddenly punctuated by the quiet, methodical hum of renewed police activity, a stark contrast to the frantic chaos of the original search. The key's immediate journey took it to a state-of-the-art forensic laboratory, where specialists embarked on the painstaking process of analysis. Its advanced state of degradation, a result of decades spent exposed to the harsh elements of the Coney Island coast, presented significant challenges. Every speck of rust, every grain of embedded sand, every microscopic fiber held the potential to unlock a crucial piece of the puzzle. Using electron microscopes, mass spectrometry, and advanced imaging techniques, forensic scientists meticulously cleaned, preserved, and then scrutinized the artifact. Their objective was not merely to identify the key's make or model, but to extract any trace evidence, however minute, that time and corrosion might have spared. The very nature of the object, a storage locker key, immediately focused investigators on potential facilities in the vicinity of the boardwalk. This was a critical shift. The original search had been broad, encompassing miles of beach and boardwalk, but now the scope was narrowed to a specific type of location. The team began the arduous task of identifying all locker banks, both active and defunct, that would have existed within a reasonable radius of the Wonder Wheel in 1993. This required delving into historical city planning documents, old business directories, and archived permits. Many businesses had come and gone in 2 decades, and the task of mapping the past landscape of Coney Island proved to be a significant undertaking. Initial searches targeted operational locker facilities, ruling them out systematically through examination of their key systems and records. The more challenging aspect involved tracking down abandoned or demolished structures that might have housed such lockers in the early 90s. Every potential lead, no matter how obscure, was pursued with a newfound urgency. The discovery of the key had not yet provided answers, but it had provided direction, reigniting the flame of an investigation that many had long considered extinguished, offering a tangible starting point in a case defined by its profound lack of physical evidence. The meticulous forensic examination of the corroded storage locker key yielded its first critical revelations not from the key's metal composition, but from the minute debris clinging to its surface. Under powerful magnification, analysts identified 2 distinct and highly significant types of trace evidence. Fine grains of sand, deeply embedded within the key head's pitted texture, provided a specific geological signature consistent with the Coney Island beach, confirming the key's origin point. The true breakthrough, however, came from the second discovery: a collection of microscopic textile fibers, remarkably preserved despite 2 decades of environmental exposure. These fibers were meticulously extracted and subjected to advanced spectral analysis. The results were immediate and startling. The microfibers did not belong to common clothing. Instead, their unique dye composition and weave structure matched the specifications of a particular type of bathhouse towel, one manufactured by a company that had ceased operations in the late 1980s. This specific towel design had been exclusively supplied to a handful of public bathhouses and changing facilities that once dotted the Coney Island beachfront. This discovery dramatically narrowed the investigation's focus. The sand confirmed the key's proximity to the beach, but the fibers pointed directly to a defunct bathhouse, one operational around the time of the twins' disappearance in 1993. Investigators, armed with this precise forensic data, cross-referenced historical records of bathhouses near the Wonder Wheel that had closed down prior to the late 1990s. One particular location, an abandoned locker bank once associated with the dilapidated Ocean Breeze bathhouse, stood out. The bathhouse itself had been condemned years prior, but its associated locker bank, a separate, more robust building, had remained standing. This was the connection. The fibers on the key were a direct link to this specific, derelict site. However, the urgency of the situation escalated dramatically with the discovery of one critical piece of information. The Ocean Breeze bathhouse and its adjacent locker bank were slated for demolition within the next 2 weeks. The site had been acquired by developers, and permits for its raising had already been approved. This created an immediate, desperate race against time. The potential site of a 24-year-old mystery, the first concrete lead in decades, was on the verge of being erased forever. The investigation team immediately convened to strategize. Securing a demolition halt was the first priority, requiring swift legal action and coordination with city officials. Simultaneously, plans were drawn for a full-scale forensic search of the abandoned locker bank. Every available resource was mobilized, from cadaver dogs to ground-penetrating radar, as the team prepared to descend upon the decaying structure, hoping to uncover the truth of Brielle Turner and her twin sister's fate before time, and the wrecking ball, Ra. In out. The race against time culminated on a grim, overcast morning at the abandoned Ocean Breeze locker bank. Demolition crews, their heavy machinery idling nearby, watched as a phalanx of investigators, forensic technicians, and K-9 units descended upon the decaying structure. The air hung thick with the scent of salt, mildew, and the unspoken weight of a 24-year-old mystery. Every moment was precious. The site was hours from being irreversibly altered. The search inside the dilapidated building was methodical, painstaking. Teams moved through the rows of corroded metal lockers, their flashlights cutting through the perpetual gloom, meticulously documenting every detail, every cobwebbed corner. Ground-penetrating radar probed the concrete floor, searching for anomalies beneath the surface, while cadaver dogs worked tirelessly, their trained noses sifting through decades of accumulated dust and decay. The pivotal moment arrived late in the afternoon, just as the last vestiges of hope threatened to fade with the setting sun. In a corner of the building, partially obscured by collapsed debris, a K-9 unit signaled a strong alert near a bank of lockers that appeared fused shut by rust. Forensic technicians, working with precision, used specialized tools to pry open the heavily corroded door of locker number 137. Inside, enveloped in a thick layer of dust and the stagnant air of decades, lay the undeniable, tragic answer to the Turner twins' disappearance. The contents of the locker, carefully cataloged and removed, revealed the skeletal remains of two small children, their identities confirmed shortly thereafter through dental records and DNA analysis as Brielle Turner and her twin sister. Alongside them lay remnants of their clothing, faded and brittle, and a small, worn stuffed animal, a silent testament to the innocent lives abruptly extinguished. The truth, long buried beneath layers of rust and forgotten time, finally emerged. The girls had been lured to this secluded, disused locker bank, their final moments forever sealed within its confines. The discovery of the key, previously dismissed as an old trinket, had unlocked not just a locker, but a profound and horrifying secret. For Aunt Simone Clark, the news arrived with a devastating finality. 24 years of agonizing uncertainty, of constructing countless scenarios in her mind, were abruptly shattered by the stark reality of the forensic report. While the confirmation brought an unbearable wave of fresh grief, it also offered a strange, grim form of closure. The girls were no longer simply missing. Their fate was known, their resting place finally identified. The haunting ambiguity, the most cruel aspect of their disappearance, had at last been lifted. The corroded key, a small, unassuming object found by chance, ultimately became the instrument of justice, demonstrating the enduring power of forensic science and the unwavering commitment to cold cases. It was a testament to the fact that even after decades, secrets can surface, and truths, however painful, can be unearthed. The resolution, though tragic, closed a painful chapter for the Turner family and for the community that had never truly forgotten the vanished twins of Coney Island. The case, once a symbol of inexplicable loss, now stood as a testament to the relentless pursuit of answers, reminding all that time, while it may obscure, rarely truly erases.